Hey team, hope you're all doing well. Today's topic, I want to go over how long do you need to train for a half marathon. I often get asked, what is the proper time frame to prepare for a 13.1 mile or 21.1 kilometer race? And my answer is usually always the same. I mean, it's really going to be dependent on the athlete, their schedule, how much time they have to prepare. Because a lot of athletes are either working full-time jobs, juggling other responsibilities. Maybe they're in school, so they maybe only have 8 weeks to train for a half marathon, or maybe they have the luxury of being able to train full time or have much more preparation time to prepare for their races. The optimal time frame for a half marathon, if you really want to do it right, is a minimum of 16 weeks, preferably 20 to 24 weeks. When I was training heavily for my races, I would always give myself usually between 5 and 6 months to really prepare for a half marathon. And what I've done with the athletes that I coach, and also in the training plans, I try to factor in time trials, with like 5K, 10K to 10 mile time trials or races in the middle of those build-ups, especially the athletes that I work with one-on-one. Because again, we want to work on speed and get faster at the shorter races. That way you're better prepared to really handle half marathon race pace, because you've really drilled down and prepared and trained at paces that were significantly faster than half marathon goal race pace, in the form of maybe a 5K time trial or maybe a 10K time trial or a 10 miler. These were the types of events that I was really always focused on in my half marathon preparation as an athlete. But again, the shorter amount of time you try to get ready for a race, the more cramming you're throwing into your race preparation, and it's very difficult to really get in great superior half marathon shape in a matter of say 4 to 8 weeks versus 16 to 24 weeks. Okay, so if in my opinion, I think do the very best you can with the time frame that you do have to build a strong aerobic base, where you're running easy, relaxed mileage for a minimum of around 2 to 4 weeks prior to the start of that 8 week buildup. Okay, and then really spend some time training at your anaerobic threshold once per week. You should be doing one VO2 max workout per week, and you should be doing a long run per week. And that doesn't matter if it matters the same if you're training for 8 weeks or you're training for 24 weeks. You need to train at various paces and not run too much of your mileage throughout your week too aerobically. Okay, well, Sebastian Coe, the former world record holder for 800 meters, 1500 meters, said it best. He said, "I've always believed long, slow distance running produces long, slow distance runners." So if you're trying to cram all of your training in a matter of 4 to 8 weeks, so again, the optimal time frame if you're training for a half marathon, for most athletes, 12 to 24 weeks, preferably 16 to 24 weeks is the way to go. Okay, again, because you have more time to prepare. It takes the body around 3 to 4 weeks to adapt to any stress load you're placing on it. So again, if you're trying to get ready for a half marathon in 4 to 8 weeks and you're not providing enough time to really work on your speed development, to do those hill repetitions, to do those tempo runs, to extend the duration of your tempo runs as well, because a big mistake a lot of athletes make is they don't spend enough time running at their anaerobic threshold. That's around 85 to 89% of their max heart rate. So again, the key is to improve the body's lactate tolerance. So the only way to do that is training at very, very aggressive, hard paces. But at the same time, you have to make sure that you're also jogging on recovery days, making sure that you're adapting to the hard training you're doing. Because again, you can have all the motivation in the world, but if you're not strategic in how you set up your training for a half marathon, or for any race for that matter, it's going to be very difficult to continue to see great results. Okay, so again, a longer buildup will provide ample time for you to adapt to the workouts you're doing. Okay, if you're doing, say, repeat 800s on the track right now, and you're just starting off your buildup, you're not very anaerobically fit right now, and you're running those 800s at say 3 minutes flat each one, it's going to take about 21 days to 4 weeks for you to go from running 3-minute 800 meter reps down to around your next intensity, which might be 252 per rep. Okay, so you can't just jump into doing hard anaerobic workouts immediately. It does take several weeks to adapt before you should start working toward the next intensity. So there has to be a plan in place, and you have to set up your training strategically so that you adapt to those hard workouts first before you start moving on to the next hard intensity. So I hope that makes sense. This is the same type of philosophy I've followed throughout my career. And again, I would always look at usually between 4 and 6 months training for a half marathon. Okay, if you're running your 5Ks and 10Ks, they don't take as much out of the body versus a half marathon. Training for 10 milers, half marathons, and marathon events definitely take more focus. It takes more time. It takes a longer time also for the body to recover from these types of races. So my advice is to focus on a longer buildup rather than a shorter buildup. Now, I do have training plans on RunDreamAchieve.com that range anywhere from 8 weeks all the way to 6 months. So take a look at those. There's various options. Also varies from each athlete depending on what level of time they're going for. Okay, so you may be trying to run a 50-minute 10K right now, or maybe you're trying to break a 30-minute 10K or a sub 130 half marathon. Okay, whatever it is, there's an option for athletes that are training for the mile all the way up to the 50K distance on RunDreamAchieve.com. I've also created 2 courses for half marathoners, as well as several courses for athletes that are trying to break the 2:30 marathon barrier, the 3-hour marathon barrier, the 4-hour barrier, 5-hour barrier as well. So definitely check the courses out. I do have some running courses there as well. So I hope this video makes sense for you all in terms of how many weeks should I train for a half marathon. That's my answer. I mean, I think really optimal time frame is a minimum for most athletes is 12 weeks, but optimally, if you really want to do it right, is 20 to 24 weeks in length. Okay, it's the same for those longer races like the marathon. 20 to 24 weeks is optimal. Okay, I would always emphasize 5 to 6 months, especially training for the half marathon and marathon races versus the shorter races like the 5K, the 2-mile, the 10K events. Of course, you can still get in phenomenal shape in a matter of 4 to 8 weeks, preferably 8 weeks. 4 weeks is a short amount of time. But 8 to 12 weeks, you can still get in very decent shape for 5K and 10K events. But it does take much more emphasis on speed development, endurance, and strength and stamina work if you're training for a 10-miler, half marathon, or a marathon race. So I hope this answers the question for if you're asking how many months or how many weeks should I train for a marathon. That's my advice. And feel free to leave me a comment below. Let me know what has worked best for you in this half marathon event. Have you been training and preparing for half marathons in the past in a short amount of time and seen great results, or have you been training for a longer period of time and seeing great results working on a longer build-up? I'd love to hear that. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so when I make a new video, you'll be notified of it. And if there's anything else I can help you all out with, feel free to leave me a comment. I will definitely reach back out and respond to you. And I wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.